Hi, I'm Mariah. Family has always meant everything to me, which is probably why I agreed to help fund my stepsister Emma's dream wedding when she tearfully explained their financial struggles over coffee last spring. My husband Jake thought I was being too generous, but I insisted that's what family does. "You're always putting everyone else first," Jake said, passing me a glass of wine as we relaxed on our deck. $15,000 is a lot of money, Mariah. I swirled the burgundy liquid, watching the sunset reflect in my glass. Emma's been planning this wedding since we were kids. Robert lost his job, and they've already put down non-refundable deposits. Besides, my business is doing well. And what about our kids' college funds? Jake leaned forward, his forehead creased with concern. Michael's only 2 years away from graduation. It'll be fine, I reassured him, reaching for his hand. We've been saving for years. This won't impact that. Besides, Michael and Ashley are so excited to be part of the wedding party. If you're sure. Jake squeezed my hand, his expression still uncertain. 3 months later, I was meeting with Linda, the wedding planner Emma had hired, to finalize some details. "I'm so glad we could meet, Mariah," Linda said, spreading papers across the cafe table. "There's been some confusion about the guest list I wanted to discuss with you." I stirred my latte, eyebrows raised. "Confusion? What kind of confusion? I thought everything was settled weeks ago." Linda shifted uncomfortably, avoiding my eyes. "Well, Emma came by yesterday and made some changes. Rather significant ones." "What changes?" I asked, a knot forming in my stomach. Linda pulled out a revised guest list, pointing to where my children's names had been crossed out. "Emma specifically instructed that your children not be permitted at the venue. She said the wedding would now be adults only." I stared at her, stunned. "That's impossible. My kids are supposed to be in the wedding party. Michael is meant to be an usher, and Ashley was going to be the flower girl." "I know," Linda said softly. "She's replaced them with Robert's cousin's children." "There must be some mistake," I insisted, pulling out my phone. "Let me call her." Linda hesitated, then spoke carefully. "Mariah, I probably shouldn't tell you this, but as someone who's been doing this job for 15 years, I've never seen anything like this. Emma specifically told security, and I quote, 'Don't let her kids step inside. I don't care what she says, they'll ruin everything.'" My hands trembled as I set my phone down. "She said that? After I paid for half the wedding?" "More than half," Linda corrected, sliding another paper toward me. A budget sheet showing exactly where my money had gone. "She's been telling vendors you're covering almost everything as a gift." Just then, my phone buzzed with a text from my stepmother, Diane. "We need to talk about Emma's wedding. There's something you should know." "I'm sorry," I said to Linda, gathering my things. "I need to go see my stepmother." "Mariah," Linda called as I stood to leave. "For what it's worth, I think what she's doing is terrible, especially after everything you've done for her." I nodded, too shocked to respond further. As I walked to my car, my phone rang again. It was Michael. "Mom?" His voice sounded strange. "Emma just called me. She said we're not welcome at the wedding anymore. What's going on?" "I can't believe she would do this," Diane said, pacing her living room while I sat rigid on her floral sofa. "After everything you've done for her." "Did you know?" I asked, my voice hollow. "Did you know she was planning this?" Diane stopped pacing, guilt flashing across her face. "Not until yesterday. She told your father and me it would be adults only now, but we thought she had discussed it with you." "Well, she didn't," I replied, trying to keep my composure. "Linda showed me where Emma specifically instructed security not to let my children in. My children, Diane. Not all children, just mine." "That can't be right," Diane murmured, sitting beside me. "Why would she do this?" I asked, my voice breaking. "What did my kids ever do to her?" Diane hesitated, then sighed. "It's complicated, Mariah. Emma's always been jealous of your relationship with your kids. She thinks you have the perfect family." "So she punishes my children?" I demanded, standing up. That makes no sense. I know. Diane held up her hands. Look, Robert's at our place now. He came over after work. I don't think he knows anything about this. Maybe you should talk to him? 10 minutes later, Robert's face had drained of all color as Diane and I explained the situation. That can't be right, he insisted, shaking his head vigorously. Emma wouldn't do that. Not to your kids. She loves Michael and Ashley. Then explain this, I said, showing him the revised guest list Linda had given me. Robert stared at the paper, then handed it back, his expression hardening. I had no idea, Mariah, I swear to you. We've been talking about having Michael usher for months. Well, apparently plans have changed, I said bitterly. Have you tried talking to Emma directly? He asked. She's not answering my calls, I replied. Robert pulled out his phone. Let me try. To my surprise, Emma answered immediately. Robert put the phone on speaker. Hey, babe, what's up? Emma's voice was cheerful. Emma, I'm with Mariah and your mom, Robert said firmly. We need to talk about the wedding guest list. There was a pause. What about it? Why did you remove Mariah's children? Another pause. It's adults only now. We discussed this. No, we didn't, Robert countered. And from what I'm hearing, it's not adults only. It's just Mariah's kids who aren't invited. That's not true, Emma protested. You're twisting things. I have the guest list, Emma, I interjected. Linda showed me your instructions to security. Why would you do this after I paid for most of your wedding? Oh, here we go! Emma's voice turned bitter. Always throwing your money in my face. This is my wedding day, and I get to decide who attends. Emma, Diane gasped. Stay out of this, Mom, Emma snapped. Mariah always has to be the center of attention with her perfect kids and her perfect life. Well, not at my wedding. Robert's jaw tightened. Emma, we need to talk about this. Now, I'm coming home. Don't bother, Emma retorted. If you're taking her side, you can stay there. The line went dead. I'm so sorry, Robert said, looking devastated. I had no idea. What happens now? Diane asked quietly. I took a deep breath. Now I make some calls. The day before the wedding, I walked into the venue where final preparations were underway. Emma was directing florists when she spotted me. What are you doing here? She demanded, crossing her arms defensively. We need to talk, I replied calmly. Privately. I'm busy, she snapped, turning away. Emma, I said, my voice firm. Either we talk privately, or we can do this right here in front of everyone. She glared but finally nodded toward a small side room. Once inside, she immediately went on the offensive. If you're here to beg for your kids to come, save your breath, Emma declared. My decision is final. I'm not here to beg, I responded, maintaining my composure. I'm here to inform you of some changes. Emma rolled her eyes. What changes? The wedding is tomorrow. Exactly, I agreed. And since I've paid for most of it, I've had some interesting conversations with the vendors. Her expression faltered slightly. What are you talking about? You see, Emma, when you pay for something, your name tends to be on the contracts, I explained, pulling out several papers from my bag. And it turns out most of these contracts have my name on them, not yours. So what? She challenged, though her voice lacked conviction. So the catering, flowers, venue, photographer, they all work for me, technically speaking, I continued. And they've all been informed of some adjustments. Emma's face paled. You wouldn't dare ruin my wedding. No, I wouldn't, I agreed. Unlike you, I don't punish innocent people. Robert doesn't deserve that, nor do your guests. The wedding will proceed as planned, with one major difference. What difference? Emma demanded. My children will be attending as originally planned, I stated firmly. And you will treat them with respect. Emma laughed bitterly. And if I refuse? If I tell security to remove them anyway? Then I'll have no choice but to inform all the vendors that I'm withdrawing my financial support, I replied, keeping my voice level. As of right now, nothing's been fully paid for, just deposits. Robert entered the room, closing the door behind him. She's right, Emma. I've seen the contracts. Emma spun around. You're taking her side again? This isn't about sides, Robert insisted. This is about doing what's right. Mariah paid for most of our wedding, and you tried to exclude her children out of… What? Jealousy? You don't understand, Emma protested, tears forming. It's supposed to be my special day. Everyone always favors Mariah and her perfect little family. So you decided to hurt my children? I asked quietly. They've done nothing to you, Emma, nothing. I'm sorry, okay? Emma suddenly exclaimed, tears streaming down her face. Is that what you want to hear? I'm sorry, I was jealous and stupid. Please don't ruin my wedding. I studied her for a long moment. No, you're not sorry you did it. You're sorry you got caught. There's a difference. What do you want from me? Emma demanded. Nothing, I replied honestly. I don't want anything from you anymore. My children will attend the wedding as originally planned. After that, we're done. You can't just cut me off, Emma shouted, stepping toward me aggressively. We're family. Family doesn't do what you did, I replied, standing my ground. Emma's face contorted with rage. She grabbed a vase of flowers from a nearby table and hurled it at the wall, narrowly missing me. Get out and take your brats with you. Linda, the wedding planner, burst in at the commotion, along with 2 security guards. What's happening here? Emma pointed at me, shaking with anger. She's trying to ruin my wedding. Remove her now. One of the guards stepped forward uncertainly, looking between us. Actually, Linda interjected, Mrs. Mariah is listed as the primary contact on our contract. If anyone has the authority to remove someone, it's her. All charges will be filed by tomorrow morning, the police officer assured me as he finished taking my statement at the venue. Assault and destruction of property aren't taken lightly, even for a bride-to-be. Thank you, Officer Davis, I replied, signing the paperwork. Robert approached as the officer walked away, his expression a mixture of shame and determination. The wedding's been canceled. I've been calling guests myself. I'm sorry, Robert, I said sincerely. He shook his head. Don't be. This isn't your fault. I should have seen the signs. Across the room, Emma sat with my stepmother, mascara streaming down her face as she watched vendors packing up flowers and decorations. What will you do now? I asked Robert. Take some time to think, he answered honestly. I love Emma, but what she did, trying to exclude your children, lying to me, throwing that vase, I don't know if I can move past that. My phone buzzed with a text from Jake. Kids and I are waiting outside. Everything okay? My family's here, I told Robert. I should go. Mariah, he called as I turned to leave. For what it's worth, I still hope we can be friends someday. I nodded but made no promises. Outside, Jake leaned against our SUV while Michael and Ashley waited inside. How did it go? Jake asked, wrapping an arm around my shoulders. About as well as could be expected, I replied, leaning into his embrace. Emma's being charged with assault and destruction of property. The wedding's canceled. Are you okay? He asked gently. I considered the question carefully. I think I will be. My children rolled down the car window. Mom? Michael called. What happened in there? Let's go home, I suggested. We'll talk about it over dinner. 2 weeks later, Diane called to meet for coffee. We sat at an outdoor cafe, an uncomfortable silence between us. Emma's doing community service, Diane finally said, and anger management classes as part of her plea deal. I nodded, but said nothing. She wants to apologize, Diane continued. She's been asking to talk to you. I'm not interested, I replied firmly. Mariah, she's still your sister. Stepsister, I corrected, and no, not anymore. She showed me exactly what she thinks of my family. Diane sighed. People make mistakes. Mistakes are accidental, I countered. What Emma did was deliberate and cruel. She wanted to hurt my children because she was jealous. Robert's called off the engagement, Diane added. She's devastated. Actions have consequences, I replied, gathering my purse. I need to go. Michael has a soccer game. Will you ever forgive her? Diane asked as I stood. I considered the question honestly. No, I can move on with my life without her in it. But some bridges, once burned, can't be rebuilt. Later that evening, as my family gathered around the dinner table, Ashley looked up from her pasta. Mom, are you still sad about Aunt Emma? I smiled at my daughter, then at my son and husband. No, sweetie. I'm not sad anymore. I've learned something important through all this. What's that? Michael asked. That real family isn't always who you're related to, I explained. Sometimes it's the people who would never dream of hurting you, who stand by you no matter what. Jake reached for my hand across the table. And who love you enough to pay for a wedding, even when their husband thinks it's a bad idea, he added with a wink. For the first time in weeks, I laughed. Yes, well, lesson learned there too. So what happens now? Michael asked. I squeezed Jake's hand and smiled at my children. Now we move forward, together. That's all that matters. Have you ever had to cut someone toxic from your life? What did it teach you about the meaning of true family? Share your thoughts in the comments below.